Welcome, everybody. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome. If there's anybody new here today, we welcome you to get a new blue packet on the back of the wall there, or anybody will give it to you if you ask for it. Also, if you're also new here today, we'd love to give you a tour of the grounds. We have an acre, which is absolutely beautiful back there. And we have an opening song by Holly Day. Yay!
This song is called I See You, and I wrote this song quite a while ago, but I think most of you know this song. When you search my eyes, you'll see my soul. When we share a smile, God's love is shown. When I seek your light, I find my home. And when I search for strength in the hand I hold, that's me holding up heaven to you. That's me holding up heaven to you. That's me holding up heaven to you. With all my heart, I see you. I see you. Sing with me on this part. Now when I search your light, when I search your light, I find my own. I find my own. When I feel your love, when I feel your love, I know I'm home. When I search your eyes, when I search your eyes, I see your soul. When we share a smile, God's grace is known. God's grace is known. That's me holding up heaven to you. That's me holding up heaven to you. That's me holding up heaven to you. With all my heart, with all my heart, I see you. I see you. Where there is love, well, there is no fear. Where there is love, there is no fear. With all my strength, I'll hold you here. With all my strength, I'll hold you here. That's me holding up heaven to you. That's me holding up heaven to you. That's me holding up heaven to you. With all my heart, with all
absolutely beautiful. One of my favorite songs. I am Christy Carr. I'm your practitioner for today at the Center for Spiritual Living, where, let's read it together. We inspire and empower people to live spiritually fulfilling lives. I am available after the service today to do prayer service over by the bell. And let's turn and wave to the children. Let's turn and wave to the cameras. We invite the children up. I would like to thank all the members in service that helped to set this service up today. Please silence your cell phones. I have a few announcements today, and where'd they go? So the office will be closed on Wednesday, June 19th for Juneteenth holiday. And Friday, June 21st, we have our absolutely amazing crystal bowl healing bath. And it's from 6:30 to 8, so if you haven't been, please join us. It's absolutely fantastic. With Irene there. Saturday, NorCal Outreach, and we're going to have a Pride booth there, and it's from 12 to 5. We're going to have our booth, and we're going to have certain people helping work the booth all day, and what we need is one more person to help tear it down for us. So if you're willing to help tear it down at 5 o'clock, let me know. And then Friday, June 28th is Speak Your Truth with Shims on Friday, June 28th from 7 to 9. And you don't have to speak, but you can come up and do your whatever you want to say. You can sing a song, you can sit and listen and be there to hear everybody do their thing. I haven't been, but I've heard it's also just as amazing as the crystal ball healing. So, without anything else, I want to invite Lori to come up and do the reading. Then Kristen will ring the bell, invite the bell 3 times. I'll do a treatment, and then Mary will come up on being free.
The reading chosen by Dr. Mary today comes from The Philosophy of Jesus by Earnest Holmes. So it becomes a question of whether our faith is greater than the obstruction, whether we are becoming confused over conditions or thinking peacefully and calmly about them. When it comes right down to a rock-bottom fact, the only question is whether or not we believe in a power greater than we are that we can use, and whether or not we actually believe that this power is ready, willing, and able to respond to us.
Let's take a big deep breath in. Close your eyes if you're comfortable, and join with me in knowing there is one beautiful life. It is the all in all. It is the wholeness. It is the essence. It is compassion, gratitude, freedom. It is the essence of all unconditional love. It is the back of all life. It is all that is seen, felt, and known. It is the all not seen. It is all in all. I am a manifestation of this one. That one love, that compassion runs in, through, and all around me and everything. I am one with the one. So I know for you, as I know for me, as we sit here today, we release all clutter and center in the one. We remember that we are unlimited. We allow ourselves to see ourselves through the eyes of unconditional love, to feel that love, to know that love. We are aligned and are in full clarity of who and what we are. We accept life just as it is. All experiences are here for us and never against us. As Reverend Dr. Neri Mitchell speaks of being free, we know that we are worthy of freedom in all the ways that it manifests, because we are that freedom itself. We are aware of this truth as equally as we are aware of the divine. Our soul is one of the one life. There is no separation. Without exception, we are the inner calm, that inner clarity, the inner peace, right here, right now, and forever. Joy leads the way every moment of every day. For all that occurs in life, everything is in harmony and perfect balance because the power of God is all there is. In extreme gratitude for knowing this, we are in complete control of our own experience for this truth, for all that today holds for us on our journey. I release this prayer knowing our highest and best is unfolding right here, right now. And so it is.
Good morning. This was a challenge, this one. And it was a challenge because many of these talks and the titles come from Science of Mind magazine for the month. And I didn't see anything in here that said being free. So I had to read everything, and I had to kind of interpret what a couple of the articles were about. So it's going to be very interesting. And it took quite a while for me to figure it out. And it finally, I felt like I burst through a fog bank yesterday. and my mind came to, oh, okay, I get it. So let's see if this message can release an explosion of intuitive hits in you. An explosion of hits in you. Because I think it will. And it's about looking at this philosophy in new ways. Can we help expand its impact on the world? Now those intuitive hits are just going to start tingling in the spaces around you, but you have to listen to a lot more. You know, there's a new level of energy stirring in new thought. It's kind of stirring, so to speak, stirring the pot. Some people don't like it. Some people are like, hey, this is cool. Let's think of some other new way to help the world. And we're part of this New Thought organization, except it's really many organizations. It's our Centers for Spiritual Living, it's Divine Science, it's Unity, Agape International, the International New Thought Alliance, the affiliated New Thought Network, and there's several more. So you can see it's a wide array of organizations, and we don't talk to each other very much, which is very interesting. So the energy that's stirring around is the question whether it's time for New Thought to evolve from being a philosophy that focuses on you, our individuality, or enlightenment and improvement in the world. Because most of our classes are to help you see your power and your connection with the divine. So here's the question. What would New Thought become if we became socially engaged in helping to move the world beyond today's dangerous state of polarization and violence? Sounds like a worthy cause, doesn't it? What would New Thought become if we became socially engaged in helping to move the world beyond today's dangerous state of polarization and violence? Well, in this issue of Science of Mind magazine, it's called Holy Boldness. And Dr. David Alexander, he is the senior minister in Atlanta, Georgia, and he's also one of the people is on the leadership team of the organization. And he wrote an article about this. And, I have to be honest, I love what we teach here, and I love Dr. James and Reverend Andrea, and I love all the ways we have helped individuals expand and grow. But we never went out and marched in the street. We never had held rallies. James said, people will come when they come, when they're ready. Don't worry about it. So that's how I felt. And apparently a lot of people in New Thought in our organization think that way. Me? What do you mean? We've never done that. Oh, a little pushback for Dr. Alexander. So in this issue, he addresses the question, and he describes the evolution of how New Thought developed, and he calls it a liberation theology. In the late 1800s, some people were posing ideas that these fundamentalist beliefs in Christianity, hell and damnation and all of this just couldn't be true. This just couldn't be. So we had the transcendentalists, and we had many people who said there's got to be a different way to think about God and religion. Thank goodness they did, because they were thinking that we could actually save people from the grips of hell and damnation churches. And so they kind of kick-started this liberation theology, and he kept finding resistance to it. And so it moved the world then away from the polarization that Christianity was the only way of thinking of religion, that there had to be something greater than that. But many leaders felt that over time, our philosophy, even as it developed in the 1800s and 1900s, should stay nonviolent, non-political, non-controversial, not upsetting anyone, and kind of a sing-along type of let there be peace on earth. I thought that was cute. He said, we tend to isolate ourselves in the speedy elevator to the top floor of peace while the activist people are running up the stairs. So it's like, well, we're maybe a little behind. That's what he's posing. And so these are the thoughts to think about. Dr. Alexander has been told by some people in his own congregation that dealing with societal issues is divisive, that it takes the teaching away from its purpose to help individuals. And he's continually reminded what Earnest Holmes wrote, we teach people how to think, not what to think. So now wait a minute, what are we going to do with this theology, this new theology he wants to bring forth? And so we teach principles, and we let each person evolve their own thinking of how they put those principles to into action in their own lives. And he was told his job on Sunday was not to offend anyone, since we're all one, of course. So you can see the kind of corner he's got himself in, and yet he's trying to help us to see life in a different way, to see this whole religion thing in a different way. So he says, what do you mean we can't talk about hard things? We can't talk about difficult things? Of course we can. So in the magazine, well, in his new book, which I've highlighted and underlined almost everything, Freedom from Discord, the Promise of New Thought in Liberation Theology. What would hinder us from doing this? One word: fear. He said, take a look at any significant change in countries, in art, in music, in anything over the years. Remember when rap first came around? How many loved it? Remember when women started to wear pants? Oh, the world was coming to an end. And so these things happen, and now how many love A1? Yeah, me either. I don't even know what it's about. And so things must change, and they usually aren't very comfortable. And he's saying, so I'm going forward. He's gonna move this forward. Carl Sagan said, the cosmos is within us. We are made of star stuff. And I love that. I believe that's so true. We are a way for the universe to know itself. Are we living as if we believe this? That's a question. Are we living as if we believe we are a way for the universe to know itself? Something to ponder. So as an adult today, trying to think back when you were 5 years old or 3 years old, you grew out of your clothes, hopefully. You grew out of the clothes of being a child. And so that's the way everything changes. Everything changes over time. We grow into something else that we hadn't pondered before, we hadn't thought about before. So those growth spurts bring a new understanding. And that's what Dr. Alexander is really showing everyone. We can come up with a new understanding. We can experience a new embodiment of God. And in doing that, there could be a global evolutional shift. Are you ready? But Earnest Holmes taught the power of love. Love attracts compassion, empathy, joy, comfort, nurturing, and conviction. And at the same time, love can repel. It can oppose things, as through jealousy, manipulation, oppression. But bold love requires we do very, very deep introspective work for really bold love, to uncover our fears, which is what we like to help people do in classes. Uncover the fears that are holding us back. Uncover the insecurities that might be holding us back. And that's the way we can truly gain the power of love in all aspects of our life. So are you willing to love so powerfully that you can release any attachments to old systems and paradigms and expressions that we see in the collective consciousness of the country and the world today? Are you willing to release any attachments to old systems? Good question to think about. So in this issue of Science of Mind magazine, there's a quote by, his name is Gabor Mott. He said, what we hold on to traps us. What we hold on to traps us. We may not be responsible for the world that created our minds, but we have responsibility for the mind in which we created our own world. I'm sharing about Dr. Alexander because it's calling for liberation from social issues, political issues, and economic issues throughout the country and the world. And in Holmes' Declaration of Principles, one of them is, we believe the ultimate goal of life is to be a complete freedom from all discord of every nature, and this goal is sure to be attained by all. Now, I read that once a month to new people that come into the little essence class, and I let them ponder that for a minute. I said, do you really think that can be? It doesn't have to be in my lifetime, it doesn't have to be next week, but at some point in the evolution of humanity, I believe that's true. If I didn't, how would I live my life? How would I be a religious science every day? Every day. This is my life, this philosophy. It rules everything that I do. So if I didn't believe that we could overcome diversity, overcome health issues, overcome what we've created, it would be, I couldn't do it. Complete freedom from all discord sounds like liberation, emancipation. So is New Thought a metaphysical liberation theology is the big question. And if we show up to nurture, support, reimagine, and build that reality, what will happen? Will we consciously and actively use this knowledge for peace in the world? Will we have a call to action to do something that contributes to peace in just Redding or California, to visibly demonstrate that this truth actually heals? It's a healing philosophy. So to live free, the title of this talk, we must be free in our own hearts and minds, and we must be open at the top, as Earnest Holmes taught. It requires us to fully engage in spiritual practices, physical, emotional, intellectual, financial, relationship, and spiritual. All those things are wrapped up in this. Do we apply our spiritual principles to all those aspects of our life? So let's step back for a minute. Dr. Alexander reminds us that the movement that eventually took on the name of New Thought came into being because there was a hunger in the consciousness of America. That's where it started in the late 1800s, this hunger that it can't be hell and damnation all the time. It can't be rigid rules. God is greater than that. And so he said, those really brilliant people like the Transcendentalists, and they came up with a new story about who we are and why we're here, because they had to create a story that was different from the ones they were being told. And it found, for most people, they found traditional religion inadequate when they started learning and hearing about God is good all the time. And they could let go of those rigid protocols. We still see some of them here in Redding. I met a lady, I don't even know where, and she's going to this church where women always had to wear dresses, not short dresses. Women were always in dresses. And she said, I'm getting tired of this. Don't tell me. So we still have some of that here in Redding. So it was an American consciousness that began writing this new story. And they applied it to science, and they applied it to all areas of our life and our objectivity. So they replaced this angry God in the Old Testament with a creator whose powers were checked by rational law, by laws. They proposed that disease was a physical event, not God's punishment. Wow, can you imagine what a shocker that was? It unleashed intense curiosity, and it inspired new thoughts. So I go back to, after you hear this and go home and think about this, hopefully you will have some new intuitive hits about your relationship with God. There's a book out that I never heard of, and it's in his book. It's called The History of New Thought from Mind Cure to Positive Thinking and the Prosperity Gospel, written by John Haler. And here's what he wrote. Unlike dogma-bound Christians who dwell on humankind's fall from grace and the need to redeem themselves from sin and darkness, the practitioners who explored these new sciences chose to celebrate life by identifying the spark of divinity in every person's nature. Isn't that refreshing? It's so refreshing. So Dr. Alexander recognizes New Thought as the emergent response to the mind-body connection. Remember when that started about 20 years ago? People started talking about the mind-body connection, and it was new, and people thought, that can't be. And the more we've studied it, the more clear it becomes that it's really true. So that started, and then universal wisdom came to the forefront in the late 1800s, and then the benchmark was seeing New Thought as a liberation theology. And I never thought of those words, but there it is. So here we are in 2024. And what we teach here is found in many mainstream books. You know those. Deepak Chopra, I mean, all these people, Marianne Williamson. It's become mainstream in so many ways. And yet Dr. Alexander talks to so many ministers because he's on the leadership council. And they say, yeah, we need to do more, but I don't know how to do that. I don't know what to do. We aren't equipped to do that. And so there's polarization that's starting. And I didn't know it until I looked back about a year and heard some rumblings, and I pay attention to the parent organization. I heard some rumblings, and I couldn't figure out where that was coming from, and this is where it's coming from. People say they would be willing to be engaged in activism if they had some training, which would be good. And so that's what his book is all about. He's got all the things you want to know and how to be a liberation activist. I have to think about that. And he speaks of the truth of oneness in a world that's divided, but he affirms the divine potential in all of us. And here he says, I'm willing to walk in radical honesty. Oh, okay already. He believes we can no longer afford to separate ourselves from the pain in the world. And boy, we see a lot of pain in the world. He believes we can bring a deeper understanding of oneness, connection, and relationship to one another so that we don't have to inflict so much pain on each other. I was tickled. I didn't know that he teaches at Harvard Divinity School's program. At Harvard, a New Thought minister. And the program's called Camp Courage Academy, a social change curriculum for credentialed leaders. So he's teaching that at Harvard. How cool. Well, today's technology seems to demonstrate one of the core principles of New Thought, that we're all one, we're all connected. And he says, well, if we're all one and we pray for peace and healing in violent situations, it's bound to make a difference. You know, it just takes footwork. It doesn't take running upstairs to, anyway, or running downtown. It just takes a lot of footwork, and we know what that means. Do we take this teaching away from our core principles and our core purposes of individual enlightenment? And that's what many ministers think. Wait a minute. We're teaching people how to be spiritual individuals. Are we going to take that away and focus on the pain of the world? And I can see their concern about that. But he says, remember where we started in the mid and late 1800s. Dr. Phineas Parkhurst Quimby, if you haven't heard of him, studied mesmerism and was fascinated how the mind controls us. And so he did a lot of work on that and started using what initially was spiritual mind treatment in telling your mind certain things are now true. And he had many healings, thousands of healings, of which one was with Mary Baker Eddy, who started Christian Science. So at that time, the Transcendentalists also had a big part in that, Ralph Waldo Emerson. And, you know, that was a special time. I always think of this. The Transcendentalists were the first group that said children should go to school and not be farmhands. They created little red schoolhouses. It was the first time. So the connection there, I think, is very beautiful with the Transcendental movement. The second wave was the 20s and 30s, and he says this, and I kind of didn't like how he said it, but he said, when ideas were primarily in the hands of men. And so it brought a great emphasis on industry, business, capitalism, personal success, prosperity, and yet Mary Baker Eddy thrived in that environment. And so did Emma Curtis Hopkins, who worked for her for a while before breaking away to go back to Chicago and create her own institute of this philosophy. I forget what she called it, and she was the first one to have a booth at the World's Fair, a woman to have a booth at the World's Fair. And so women were a very important part of all this, and I just wanted to be sure you knew that. So Dr. Alexander invites every one of us to describe New Thought and how it's working in your words in your words. Describe the purpose of your own path in your words. And where do these two paths cross? Are they integrated or are they separated? Do you come here on Sunday and then it's totally different all the week? I don't know. It's a good question. What role do politics play in your experience of New Thought spirituality? That's another good one. And do you think they have a place at the pulpit to talk about politics? Me? No. Some people are going, well, it's part of the world. It's part of where this whole turmoil is. So it's something to really think about. Or should it be avoided at all times? And where do you draw the line? Most people in our movement are somewhat aware of the 4 levels of consciousness. And Michael Beckwith really popularized this. And he says you may get stuck in one of these 4 levels, and then work your way out of it, but you may get stuck at first, because realm 1 is everything's happening to me and it's horrible. I'm a victim. I feel powerless. You probably know somebody like that. Realm 2, everything's happening by me. I'm in control of my experiences and it's not going too well. Realm 3, everything's happening through me because now I see I'm a vessel of spirit. And I can lean into this power that's greater than I. And then level 4, as me. I am one with God. And level 5, as we together, as we apply the principles to live a more mystical life in our approach to the world. So his New Thought liberation theology, Judy, she said, give me a cue. Okay. Seeks to unite our head and heart, make room for the activist, make room for the mystic, make room for those who want to march and those who want to meditate. It seeks to elevate both action and contemplation as a means of our demonstration. I think tying those two together is really valuable. So I invite you to pray about this, and if you would, share your thoughts with me, because that's what his book is looking for, more input. And I'd love to write a big paper on our responses to this. And because once New Thought gets clear about it, and that's the issue, or can we get clear about it, it will evolve in ways we have no idea about. So we can help participate in that. He's serious about making it real. I've met him. He's a powerhouse. So I have no doubt he's going to make that all happen in one way or another. So join me in a prayer about this. We know that God is all there is, but my goodness, God's creative. Everywhere we look, we see diversity. Everywhere we look, we see ways that God expresses that we had no idea. New species being found every week, new ways of looking at the world, the Webb telescope finding new solar systems. There's so much more out there. And it's all from the creation of the one that creates to know itself, to see itself, to understand itself. And we are part of that, each one of us created in that purpose, out of the love of what we call God. So I invite you this week to think about the things I posed this morning about moving New Thought into a more active part of the world. How we might do that. What we might be careful of. What we resist. What we're holding on to. All of these things are at your beck and call this week. And I know if you ponder it enough, you are going to be flooded with ideas, flooded with intuition, that special part of your soul that wants you to know these things. So I'm so grateful to be here this morning and share this. A little bit out of the box, but sometimes I got to go there. So thank you, God, for the energy for me this week to create this message, and know that it settles somewhere in your consciousness for the greater good of the universe, of humanity, of the U.S. And so it is. Thank you. I'll just let all this lay here.
Well, it's Father's Day. And I wrote this for the Divine Father, but I had a really great daddy too. And so I guess this song is sort of about the combination of the two of them. And I guess surrendering into the power of the divine masculine Father. So the song is called Fall Into Me. I hear my Father's voice whispering tenderly, surrender now, my child, just fall into me, and I'll set you free. Fall into me. Holding his gentle hands with no more to defend. Give me your pain, I'll make it end. Just fall into me, I'll set you free. Fall into me. You are now safe from harm, protected in my arms, where you belong. This is our song, so stand on my feet, just dance with me, 'cause I'll lead the way. Oh, lead the way. Just fall into me. You are now safe from harm, protected in my arms, where you belong. This is our song. Stand on my feet and just dance with me. I'll lead the way. I'll lead the way. Just fall into me, and I'll set you free. I see my Father's face, singing words of grace. Feel my heart beat, 'cause I'll never leave, 'cause this So fall into me, I'll set you free. Just fall into me.
It's not fair to make me cry before I have to talk. Okay, the ushers, please come forward. Okay. As I prepare to give my offering, my heart is filled with love and appreciation, since what is offered here today is for my spiritual well-being. I am balanced, for what I give, I receive. I give thanks for the blessed donations received in the offering this morning and during the week. I know each dollar supports this spiritual family in many ways as we grow together, pray together, and give thanks for all that this sinner has been blessed with today and always, and so it is.
All right, if everybody would like to stand for God's design. These eyes of mine long to behold you, present in your light divine. These eyes of mine long to behold another of God's design. These arms of mine just long to embrace you and rock your troubles away. These arms of mine long to embrace another of God's designs. I am you. chose to adore another of God's designs. This voice of mine longs to give you the harmony within my soul. This song of mine that I sing for you is another of God's designs. I am, you are, we are another of God's design. I want to hear you. I am, you are, we are another of God's designs. Another of God's designs.
Oh, happy Father's Day. I just want to share with you, my brother died last week back in Ohio, and his best friend from Texas drove to Ohio to take care of Mike's house. Thank goodness I didn't have to go. And he packed up all kinds of stuff. And he sent me 4 big boxes. And this morning at 5:30, I opened one, and I'm going to cry. It was all my dad's stuff, who died when I was 8 years old. His dog tags, pictures of him in the Army, and a bowling trophy, and oh my God, it was just wonderful. So all you fathers know how appreciative we are. We love you. Have a great day. Oh, I'll make copies of these questions that he had if you want them to consider. If you want to consider them. Yeah, okay.